growing up as a kid, I got involved in the police explorers, and even before that, it's just always something I had interest in. It was always a passion. You see the cars, and it caught my attention. Everybody, I'm sure, growing up as a kid saw something, and they're like, "Oh, that's great! Like that's what I want to do," or whatever the case was. And police officers always caught my attention. And as I got older and I hit my teenage years, I became a police explorer, and I met the department. I met the guys here, and there were several that took me under their wing, and the rest is really history. Every police officer has a day that they're going to look back and go, that day's I'm never going to forget that day. And up until recently, that day was sitting in the chief's office and being told I got hired. Just this week, I actually handled a call, which is probably on the same spectrum, if not better. There was an incident that occurred in town, and there was a first grade and a third grade child involved, brother and sister. Our officers responded. It got to be a tactical situation, so they approached it with caution, with safety, and it was overwhelming for the children. So I followed up the next day, and I went to the house, and I first got there, and the grandmother comes to the door, and she was nervous. The day before, they just had police officers with shields and guns, and she didn't know what was going on. So she comes to the door with a look on her face like, "Can I help you? Is everything okay?" And I could see the two children, the brother and sister, in the window. So I just briefly explained to her. I said, "Ma'am, I work in community services. I'm just here to talk to the kids. I want to make sure they're okay. That's part of my job." So they come outside, and she was telling me that they had nightmares. Her daughter had a little bit of trouble sleeping because it's a lot to see. So our department gave them a goodie bag, there was junior police officer badges, there were coloring books, there was all different kind of items to give to them just to show like, hey, listen, we're sorry, but that's what our job is. By the time I left, they were running through the car, they were picking things out, asking questions, but the thing that got me the most was when the young boy went to the house. He came back out, but he came out without a jacket on. Now the significance is, this is what's going to kick in, is the grandmother looks at me and she goes, "You are the only person that he's ever come outside without his jacket on, because he's terrified of bees. I don't like bees. I don't like ticks, spiders, snakes. Not for me at all." But he came outside and he starts running around and he starts playing with his sister. And she goes, when she looked at me, she goes, "No one has ever been able to get him to come outside without his jacket on." And up until that day, one of the best days was sitting here in the chief's office and getting the position, having the look on her face. And then when she told her daughter, when her daughter got there while I was still at the house, I can't describe to you like the look on their face. And the day before, knowing that they were just in a traumatic incident and they saw the things they saw and they didn't feel comfortable around police officers, now that he's giving me a hug before I leave and he's running outside without a jacket on, and I didn't go there to overcome his fear of the bees. I just came there to do what any police officer would do, to make them feel safe and know that they can come to us for help. And that was 2 days ago. And that day, I will never forget that day. Absolutely not. So, as any officer has a great day, every officer has a bad day, and they'll never forget. And the date will never escape me. My badge number is 118. This day was January 18th, 2011. I just graduated the police academy. I'm brand new on the road. I'm still in the training program, and we're handling one section of town. Now, the other officer who was in the other section of town missed his meal break. So he actually goes on his meal break later than expected. So I now in turn cover his side of town. 3 minutes after he takes his break, we get a call for a motor vehicle crash. And as we're going there, it's the winter time, it's January, it's cold. And dispatch is giving us updates that there are people on location. The driver's unresponsive. They don't know if he's breathing. And I got to the call, got out, immediately went to the car, and there's a car battery in the passenger seat. this car was in bad shape. It was in total disarray. And I look at this young man, and he was young. And I didn't know how old he was at the time, but I could tell he was young. So I get his information out of the glove box. The first aid's there, rendering first aid, and he's still unresponsive. Now, all I'm thinking about is, what happened here? What happened that this young man is in this position where he can't even tell me what went wrong? Thankfully, there were witnesses that stopped, and it was later determined that the gentleman who hit him was almost 4 times over the legal limit. And this young man, this is the sad part, is he was 21. You think that he would be the one that was drinking, and he wasn't. He went and did a favor for a friend. He went back to close up a store where he worked at, and he was going home to watch a movie with his family. So for the next couple weeks, I became very close with the family, and I am so happy that to this day he's recovered, which is not the ending that most people assume. It was a long road for this young man, and I didn't know what to think when I got there. And the only thing that crossed my mind is, how am I going to tell this kid's family, who is younger than I am, that your son was in a crash and he did nothing wrong? He was going home. So thankfully there was a great ending, which I'm extremely thankful for, but I can promise you that that is something that I will never forget. The date, the details, the people, never forget it. There's a lot that goes on that we take home with us, and being a police officer, we're no different than anybody else. We put our pants on one leg at a time, and our job has a purpose, as does every other profession out there. We just have a strong brotherhood and sisterhood, whether it be other police officers in my department, and they're all top-notch officers, male, female, or it's in another agency, and we all lean on each other. And there's a lot of things you're going to see in this career that you're going to bring home, and you're going to see, but you need someone to talk to. And it's very difficult to talk to someone outside of this profession because they don't understand. And not that everyone doesn't understand tragedy, misfortune, but for those of us who do this job every day, it's something we unfortunately have to see. So we use each other for support and to manage to get through those tough times. So I'm thankful that I was able to get into that brotherhood, and for those female officers, a sisterhood. The climate for law enforcement has changed, and you could say that there are some trying times because there are a lot of people out there that don't like police officers and don't like what we stand for. And you want to know how I come back to work every day and do it? It's because there are still people out there who do support us, and there are still people out there who appreciate us. And when I was offered the job, I took an oath to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey. So whether there's people out there that don't like us and don't necessarily agree with what we do, I'm sorry for them. But just because there's a few bad people out there, a few bad apples, I'm still going to come to work. And I'm going to do my best for the people in the public who support us. And even if you don't support me or my job, I can put that aside, because that's not what matters. What matters is I'm here to help people. And I know it's a generic answer, and people all the time say, oh, what are they going to ask you in an interview? Oh, I want to help people. That is a generic answer. But there are those officers who could back it up, and their emotions and their feelings, and we're here to do a job, whether you like us or not. And we're going to give you 110%. And you may badmouth me when I leave, but you know what? I will still come to you, and I will still help you. And I will do anything I can to better you, your family, your situation, because that's why we're here, and that's what we're supposed to do.